Hey, good morning, Element 26 students and Adrian First Church of the Nazarene. Pastor Dan coming at you again from my front porch. It's a place I've been spending a fair bit of time over the last few weeks, and it's, I guess, the best I can do to get outside and be a little bit quiet and be quiet in my spirit. And I was thinking about that as I was part of a devotional a few days back in a class that I'm currently taking, and the devotional was all revolving around a particular psalm, Psalm 46, and there's two words in Psalm 46, and they're actually words that are found in a whole bunch of different passages in Scripture, not just here in Psalm 46, but the two words are "be still." And the fellow teaching the class, he said, and he had us kind of go around one by one. We were on a Zoom video conference, and he had us go around one by one and just say, what do those words mean to you? What does it mean to be still? And there was all sorts of answers. People that thought maybe it had something to do with being confident, which I think is true, confident in the Lord. Some talked about the idea of being in harmony in your spirit with God. The term that came to mind for me was to be at rest. To be still is to be at rest. And I don't mean sleeping necessarily, but at rest in your spirit, not anxious, not uptight, not fretting about things, but being at rest in your spirit. And I like that word confidence that someone said, confidence in who God is. And I was thinking about that idea of rest, and right now it seems like we're all getting lots of opportunity to be at rest, right? Like we many of us can't work, and we're cooped up in our house, and we don't really have much of a schedule. The other day I was talking to a neighbor, and she said, yeah, my husband lost track of days. He didn't go to work because he didn't realize it was still during the work week, and his job is essential. He's still working. And I said, yeah, every day kind of feels like Saturday, doesn't it? But the weird part is there are no days that really feel like Sunday. We have to remind ourselves it's Sunday. It's the Lord's Day. It's a day of worship, a day of rest. And that term is a term that we've put on it over the years. To be at rest is part of Sabbath, right? To cease from our work, to take a step back and just say, all right, Lord, I need you to renew me and refresh me in my spirit. And I was thinking that could be one of the really positive things that comes out of this time of dealing with the pandemic and dealing with not being able to do the things that we really want to be doing. It's sort of forcing us to take a step back and maybe evaluate, how often am I at rest? How often am I allowing the Lord to renew me in my spirit and do something new and fresh in me? So I just wanted to walk through Psalm 46 with you and remind myself of what God is really saying through this passage. It's powerful. And I hope that even though Sunday might not feel like Sunday, that as you watch the video, as you worship and find time to spend with the Lord on the Lord's Day, that He will remind you to be at rest, to not be anxious about when you get to go back to work, and just when will this virus subside and be all the way gone. But hopefully you can find some rest and be still. So let me read to you what Psalm 46 says. It says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. There is a river whose stream makes glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her. Nations are in uproar, kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice, and the earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done. The desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. He says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress." So I want to just share with you a few things that the Lord's been sort of teaching me as I've really meditated on this chapter, this 46th Psalm, and just thought about it throughout the week, and just some of the things the Lord has spoken to me about. And it's all based on this idea of being at rest or being confident in who God is. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is this first 3 or 4 verses here. God is our refuge and ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, the mountains quake with their surging. I want to remind you, remind me, it's something the Lord's been reminding me this week, to be confident in the competence of God, to be confident that he knows what he's doing, that he's got this thing figured out, that he doesn't need my help. The psalmist starts off with, God is our refuge and strength. What's a refuge? And I thought about that idea. It's a safe dwelling place. A lot of us are taking refuge, right? We're in a safe dwelling place, trying to hide away from a virus in our house. We're taking refuge in our house, but who ought we be taking refuge in? We should be taking refuge in God, right? God is our refuge and our strength. He's our source of strength. He's our safe dwelling place. The psalmist reminds us he's our ever-present help. He's always there. He's there to help us when we need him, when we call upon him. He's always there. So we can be confident in the competence of God, that he's got this. He's always there, and he's seen things like this through in the past. He's helped people in the past. And, it's probably good for you and for me to remind ourselves of the ways he's helped us in the past, the ways he's showed his competence. There's many times when we get anxious and worried and we think he doesn't know, he hasn't shown up, he hasn't come through. And then we stop for a minute and we think about the ways that he's come through in the past, and reminds us that he is our ever-present help. He is there. He is our safe dwelling, our strength, the one we can run to and take rest in, to be confident in. Many years ago, probably 2005 or 6, I was traveling around as a school assembly presenter. They called me the yo-yo man. I was a professional yo-yo guy, and I went around to schools and did school assemblies. And I remember this one school I was at. I was in Northern California. I was spending a week out there on tour with a friend of mine named Clyde, who also worked for the company. Clyde flew up from Los Angeles area. I flew in from Detroit area, and we stayed together in a hotel in Hayward, California for a whole week. Well, probably about Wednesday or Thursday of that week, I was at this elementary school in the middle of the week, and it was a school that was just young kids. I think it was kindergarten through 2nd or 3rd grade, and they got me up in front of this room of, I think, about 400 little teeny kids, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, and I'm doing my thing. Everything's going along as normal until the earthquake. Oh yeah, I said that right. The earthquake. The room started shaking. The ground started rattling. I noticed my yo-yos on my table were kind of bouncing around, the things I had sitting on the table next to me. And the first thing that went through my mind was, what is this? Because being from Michigan, I don't experience earthquakes very often. The second thing that went through my mind is, I have to keep control of this room of children who could potentially get pretty scared. So I acted like I was on my surfboard and kind of made a joke about riding the wave, riding the wave of this earthquake, and just riding it out. And after a few seconds, it went away, and the kids just kind of laughed it off, thought it was funny, thought it was part of the program. Totally unrehearsed, totally spontaneous. But I thought about that when I was reading through this passage, because it talks about those times in life when we need confidence in God. What does the psalmist say? We will not fear. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. Sounds like a massive natural disaster, right? Sounds like an earthquake times 10, right? Though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. We're not going to fear. We're going to take refuge and seek safety and strength and help from God, who is always competent and able, because He is our refuge and our strength and ever-present help. And so even if the earthquake happens, even if the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, we're reminded that God is competent. He can take care of it. He knows what He's doing. The second thing I wanted to consider from this passage is the idea that God is in control. We can have confidence in the control of God. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her. She will not fall. Nations are in uproar. Kingdoms fall. He lifts His voice, and the earth melts. I was reading that passage, and at first I was thinking they were talking about heaven. They were talking about a place where God dwells that's not here, but it's heaven. And then I realized, no, I think the psalmist was thinking of Jerusalem. You see, Jerusalem is an interesting city because almost all major cities in the Middle East are built on some kind of river, some kind of body of water, some source of water for the city. Jerusalem is the exact opposite. There is no river flowing through Jerusalem. And if Jerusalem was going to survive, and if the people there were going to be sustained, they were going to have to be confident in God. They were going to have to realize that their sustenance, the person that was going to provide for them, was going to be God. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. You hear this? The psalmist says, God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day. And then verse 6, nations are in uproar, kingdoms fall. He lifts His voice, and the earth melts. You hear that? He lifts His voice. He just says the word and takes care of the problem. And you can take confidence. You can be at rest in the fact that God is in control. He's in control of COVID-19. He's in control of your life. He's in control of your finances. He's in control of your job. He's in control of all of the things that feel so out of control right now. You can be at rest because you can know that. You can have confidence in that. The last thing I want to share with you is the idea that you can be confident in the care of God, that He really will take care of you, that He knows what you need and when you need it, and He's got it covered. The psalmist goes on to say, the Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done. The desolations He's brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. He says, be still, at rest, be still, and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. You can be confident in the care of God that He's got this covered, and you can be still. You can be at rest. You don't have to worry and fret and wonder if He knows what's going on. He knows, and He'll take care of you. He'll take care of me. So I hope that's an encouraging word for you today. I hope that if you've been struggling to be confident in God, that you'll be reminded through this psalm that He knows what you need. He knows when you need it. He's competent to take care of you. He's in control. And, I was thinking of another passage in Scripture where God reminds us, he says that he'll fight our battles for us. We only need to be still. There's those words again, right? Be still. So I hope somehow this Sunday, this Lord's Day, you can be still. You can take some time to just be with the Lord, allow him to renew you and refresh you in your spirit, and just be confident in him. Love you guys. I can't wait till we can worship together again. I'm kind of sick and tired of every day feeling like Saturday and no days feeling like Sundays. I want to get back to worshiping corporately together, and I think that's probably going to be just a few more weeks, but it's going to be great. I can't wait till we have a re-entry into normal, and we can worship together on Sundays and see each other. Until then, I love you, and I'm praying for you. Please reach out if you need anything, if I can help you in some way, or the church can help you in some way with what's going on with you. All right, take care. Bye-bye.